I'd like to call our meeting to order at this time. And I would like to offer an invocation, and then after I finish, we will stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day, a beautiful day in which it was. Father, we continue to look forward to the holiday seasons that are here upon us, and we just pray that our community would be, as it always is, and generous to those who are in need and who are struggling to try to get by. Father, we ask that you would bless this nation, help us to set an example for the world to look up to. And we just ask that peace may dwell amongst those within us and around us and throughout this world. Pray, God, for those who have nothing, who have lost everything. Some have lost their lives. Some have lost their families, their homes. We just ask that they might look to you when there's nowhere else to go, that they would look to you to help them in the depths of despair, just like you do when you put us on the mountaintops. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item is to approve the business agenda as it is presented, or if there are any conflicts that anyone has, let it be known at this time. So at this time, I would ask, after you've had an opportunity to consider the agenda, the items that are on it, we would need a motion to approve it.
Mayor, I'd like to make
Mayor.
a motion to adopt the business agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Farabee and a second by Councilwoman Bryant. Is there any more discussion on the matter?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Smith.
I'd like to see if Bo-Prim Furby would amend the motion to take off the closed session.
Why was that? Why?
Mr. Farabee is asking, and Mr. Davis, you help me, guide me through if I need any help with this. We have a motion and we have a second. We have Councilman Smith is asking that Mayor Pro Tem Farabee amend his motion to remove item 10, no, I'm sorry, item 9 off the agenda. So is that just up to Mr. Farabee at this time?
Correct. That's his choice as to whether he moves to amend his motion. If he says, I'm not amending the motion, then...
All right, Mr. Farabee asked a question
The question
about
was
why...
why was the question asked to me?
Mr. Farabee asked a question. Is that something that Mr. Smith can answer or not answer, or...
with the limitation, of course, what the closed session is on is listed as the agenda to discuss a personnel matter. Obviously we don't need to get into the particulars of any kind of personnel matter.
You're not sure of what the personnel matter is at this point. Not saying. The request was by me for a personnel matter to be on the agenda. I made the motion. There was a second. And if they're requesting that I take it off, I want to know why.
And so, like I say, Councilman Smith can answer that question with the caveat that, as far as the particularities of whatever.
I'm not
personnel
asking for
activity,
any particular items at this point as far as the closed session, because the closed session hadn't been discussed. It's in a closed session. So I'm asking, why are you requesting that I take the closed session off when it hadn't been discussed at all? And I requested the item to be on there.
I'll be glad to answer that. I just don't feel like that I'm against the closed session tonight, and I'm not going to vote to approve the agenda with the closed session on.
Okay, we've had a question and we've had an answer. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor of Mr. Farabee's motion to approve the agenda as it is presented, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No,
Mr. Farabee, did you vote?
Well, you know, I made the motion, so it was an aye.
Okay.
Same old stuff every day.
Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
Same old mess.
Okay, the motion was not approved to
Well, I'll
remove
just-
the
I'll just-
item off the agenda.
Next week, I'll just go into open session and take my 3 minutes and discuss what it's all
Mr.
about.
Farabee, you can do that. A motion to approve the agenda as it is
Mr. Mayor,
presented.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the removal of other business, closed session.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Smith to remove item 9 from the agenda and then approve it. Do we hear a second to that motion?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Councilman Stainback. Any more discussion on the matter? All in favor?
Aye.
I can't hear you. All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, no.
No.
No,
Okay, that motion will be approved. Item 9 be removed from the agenda. Item 4 is public comment. We have one individual, Richardson, I'm sorry. Mr. Richardson, if you'd like to come to the podium, and if you would just state your name and where you live at. And we generally allow 3 minutes for unscheduled public comment.
My name is Alfonso Richardson, and I reside at 223 White Street. My issue, why I'm standing here tonight is because there were, city fence was on our property when we had it surveyed. So we asked that Housing Authority remove the fence back off of our property. They removed the fence, but they didn't replace the fence. This fence runs down 5 properties, and it divides the residents from Housing Authority's public housing there. So by removing the fence, we was thinking that it was only reasonable if they would put the fence back on the city's property. But yet they just left our property open to all, not all, but the residents on this side of the apartment building. And we just asking them to put a fence up between the residents and their apartment buildings.
Who did you say took it down, Mr. Richardson?
There was a gentleman at Housing Authority by the name of Bob.
The Housing
And
Authority.
I also like to interject that I did, when I came in, I spoke with the city manager. I came to City Hall last week, spoke to the planning department, came back today. And she said she was made aware of the issue and was going to work with the gentleman and Housing Authority. But I still wanted to speak tonight because as a resident, I really felt disappointed in the city that they would just take the fence down with no, like, well, okay, we're doing our obligation, but we're just leaving your property wide open to the resident and just a throughway. So,
If I could yield to the city manager, maybe she could.
Okay. And I realize we're speaking here a few minutes before the meeting started, but the apartment property is owned and managed by the Housing Authority, and which is not the city of Roanoke Rapids, just for a point of clarification. So the city staff and personnel did not remove the fence. It would have been Housing Authority or their contractor. So, but we will work with that. I just want to clarify the ownership not belonging to the city of Roanoke Rapids.
That's fine with me because it's still either or, you know, it just makes sense that if you have an apartment building with a large amount of people that you would want some separation from the residents and your property.
You understand what she's,
Yeah, it's not
you
the
know,
city
it says the
responsibility.
Roanoke Rapids Housing Authority, but we don't have any authority over what they do. That's why I was asking you if
Yeah,
they,
but I understand that, Mr. Mayor, but I still feel that, by us being they are in the city of Roanoke Rapids, and they are a city, well, maybe they're not a part of the city.
Okay, well,
They do still have zoning compliance that they have to comply, or they have to comply with our zoning ordinance that's approved by the city council, and so a fence is more than likely required for screening, but if they've relocated the fence off of your property, since if there was an encroachment, they will, the burden does fall on them to have the screening fence for their property, so.
As a resident of the city, I had no, this was my next best stop, because when I went to, the head of housing authority, that's what I received from them. So, that's all I.
well, can somebody with the city continue to follow up and make sure everybody's within the zoning and planning and what they're supposed to do?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Item 5 is to approve the city council meeting minutes on October the 17th. We just have one session of minutes tonight. When someone's ready to make a motion to approve them. Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Stainback. Do we hear a second to his motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Smith. Any more discussion on the matter? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The minutes will be approved as they are presented. Next is a public hearing on the neighborhood revitalization program.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I'd ask for you to open the public hearing to receive a presentation.
Okay, I declare that the public hearing be open at this time.
Okay. As described in your memorandum, the City of Roanoke Rapids is preparing to submit a new CDBG neighborhood revitalization application for the maximum grant award of $950,000 for housing rehabilitation, and our grant consultant, Chris Hilbert with Insight Planning and Design, is here in the audience and is available to answer some questions and things about this. But as part of submitting a grant application, you're required to have 2 public hearings. We had the first one on September the 19th, and no comments were received. The second one is relative to the application for funding, and right now the projects that are being proposed would be rehabilitation of homes or reconstruction, and then project administration. We're not proposing any public facilities in this round, as we did in the past. Because of some changes in some of the grant requirements, but we hope to have this benefit a number of homes within the community. There's a lot of severe needs, and this program is intended for owner-occupied houses. Chris, I don't see you, but do you want to go to the podium over there? All right, I'll have him share some more, since a lot goes into this application process. It's been a little bit different than it was in 2020. Fortunately, we have them to help us out with it.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, I can just kind of give a little overview of the application period that we had. In October, we took applications from homeowners that were interested. We ended up getting 11 applications. We're proposing to do 7 homes in this grant. 2 of them would be reconstructions, because the severity of the home is really dilapidated and they need to be torn down and reconstructed. One's substantial rehabilitation, which means it's over $72,000. That is a historic home in the historic district, so we're not proposing to tear that down, but instead spend a little bit more money. And then 4 other rehabs. And they're pretty much scattered throughout the city. Just read off a couple of some of the streets. There's 2 on Washington Street, 1 on Jefferson Street, Powell Street, Love Street, Southgate Drive, and Charles Circle. So it's pretty spread around the city. The applications were rated based on income level. You have to be below 80% of the median income, and also based on special population, which is like elderly or disabled, and then also the housing needs that they had. The application is due next week. Should be in the mail tomorrow. So, I don't know if there's any question. Budget, $855,000 for rehabilitation line item, $95,000 for administrative. The administrative is usually 10% of the overall budget.
Is any of this money allowed to be used for demolition?
The reconstructions will have demolition to them on site. The state is not allowed clearance without a beneficiary. So like if you just had a vacant home, we're not allowed to just demolish that, not in the guidelines as they're proposed right now. So they have to have a beneficiary tied to the demolition.
And what is the criteria once a person is deemed eligible for a repair or reconstruction? What is their responsibility?
So there is they have to prove that they're the owner occupant of the home, but they also will have a lien attached to the property for the amount that's spent on the home, and that is for a period of 8 years. So if they sold the property within that period, they would have to pay the city back whatever portion is left within that period. So that's intended to make sure that we're benefiting that particular beneficiary. They also have to maintain their taxes. They have a maintenance agreement that they have to sign that basically means they're complying with all the local zoning and things like that. They can't have multiple junk cars on the property, things like that. So, and then insurance and taxes are their responsibility.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you, sir.
There's no money from the city committed to this as well. So I should have mentioned that.
It's our tax money.
This is HUD money from the federal government being funneled through the state.
Right. Okay, it would be appropriate at this time to receive comments from the public.
Yes, sir.
Anyone in the audience or anyone here in this room that would like to make comments about this, that this is the time to do it, if you'd like to come forward and make any kind of statement. If there's no one that wishes to make a comment, I would move that the public hearing be closed at this time.
The appropriate action after the public hearing would be a motion to adopt Resolution 2023.17, authorizing the submission of the application to the North Carolina Department of Commerce for a CDBG Neighborhood Revitalization Funding Program grant.
Okay, if someone would like to make that motion, we can move forward.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2023.17, authorizing submission of an application to the North Carolina Department of Commerce for a Community Development Block Grant Neighborhood Revitalization Funding Program.
All right, we have a motion by Councilwoman Bryant. Do we hear a second to her motion?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Farabee. Is there any more discussion on this matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. The motion will be approved. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7 under new business is consideration of a memorial resolution honoring Gilbert Wilson Chichester. So would you all like to come forward and family, when I read it? we both were talking about it taking a long time for us to get to this point, but I'm glad we have arrived here now. I really still continue to, as much as we enjoy having Jeffrey here, and I'm sure he would agree with me, we still miss Mr. Chichester very much. And I know you all do. He was a voice of wisdom on this council. Sometimes he didn't say a whole lot, but when he opened his mouth, the things that came out of it said a lot in a few words. And so it was a sad day when we lost him, but this is a chance for us to memorialize him in the years to come. So I read this. The City of Roanoke Rapids, a resolution honoring Gilbert Wilson Chichester and naming the library in his memory. Whereas the mayor, the city council, staff, and citizens were greatly saddened to learn of the death of Gilbert Wilson Chichester, who was born in Halifax County on January 5th, 1947. Mr. Chichester passed away on February 5th, 2022. Whereas Gilbert Chichester graduated from Meridian Springs High School, and he served in the United States Air Force prior to earning his undergraduate degree at North Carolina Wesleyan University, and furthering his education at the University of Richmond T.C. Williams School of Law, where he received his Juris Doctor degree. And whereas he served as a city attorney from January 2008 until December 2019, providing expert legal services to assist the city in many complex situations with commendable results, and thereby gaining the respect and the confidence of all the city officials for his depth of knowledge, sound judgment, and high ethical principles. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the mayor and the city council of the City of Roanoke Rapids that we do now honor the memory of Gilbert Wilson Chichester, reflecting fondly upon his superior performance as our city attorney, and by this resolution, named the Roanoke Rapids Public Library, located at 319 Roanoke Avenue, the Chichester Memorial Library, so that the contributions he made will not be soon forgotten. Be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution be spread upon the minutes of the City Council, in testimony thereof, and a copy be presented to the family of Mr. Chichester and the news media on this day is adopted, the 8th day of November, 2023.
I just want to say thank you guys for this and the memory. This is going to be a lasting memory of him. He loved being a city attorney, and he loved serving the community here. And I just want to say thank y'all. And I can't say much more because I'm about to go. But thank you.
And I would like to say that of any building in our community, the library could not have been more appropriate. So, thank you from all of us. Thank you.
I do have one more resolution that arrived last week in the mail from the North Carolina League of Municipalities. It was approved during their City Vision Conference last spring, but there is a resolution for Gilbert Chichester's service to the city from the League of Municipalities as well. So I'll present that to you. I sent you a picture of it, I think.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, we would need a motion to approve this at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that we adopt a memorial resolution number 2023.18 honoring Mr. Gilbert Wilson Chichester.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion by Councilman Smith and a second by Mr. Stainback. Is there any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, no. Motion will be unanimously approved. Thank you.
I would like to say that in working with Gilbert for a long time, he and I always had this thing. And this thing was he was a snazzy dresser. And I always looked at him when he came in, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go buy that outfit right there. And I stopped wearing ties up here after a while, but tonight I said, you know what, I'm going to put my tie on at least to commemorate that. But again, I'm not saying that Jeffrey is not a snazzy dresser, but he's just a little dressier than I like to dress. But I just wanted to say that we really enjoyed him, and I certainly miss him as well. Thank you.
And I will add too, he was very missed, and I actually had a conversation unexpectedly with an attorney on a phone yesterday that works, practices out of the area, and he said, I met one person from Halifax County in my life, and he said, he called him the treasure of Halifax County. He said, did you know of Gilbert Chichester? And I said, yes, I did. And just couldn't be more pleased, and we miss him very much, and we're thankful to have his family still in the community, and hope you find the library as a place to remember him and all the research and time he has spent in libraries, legal libraries and so forth, doing what he did best, and that was practicing law, but he was committed to everything he did, whether it was at work or at home or and elsewhere. So we look forward to having a naming ceremony, probably whatever works best for the family, and do that when it's convenient. So, thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming tonight. Awesome. Thank you. And giving us the honor of being able to do this. City Manager's report.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just as a reminder, this upcoming Friday is Veterans Day, or the city will be observing Veterans Day, excuse me, on Friday, and offices will be closed. Next week, we have an HCIA meeting at the Sanitary District, and we'll be discussing some of the 2024 legislative goals. If you haven't received them from the HCI committee, I'll send them out to you tomorrow to see if you want to make any changes or updates to those goals that we eventually submit to the legislature in the springtime. A few other things. Pizza Hut is scheduled to open next week, the new construction there. And we have several Christmas events coming up here very soon as well, including Friday, December 1st with Christmas on the Avenue. The 2nd, which is a Saturday, there'll be Christmas for Kids. And then on the 3rd will be the parade. Sunday, December the 3rd at 2 p.m. we'll have our annual Christmas parade. And a couple other things I just want to mention too is we want to say thank you especially to Lowe's Home Improvement Store and Lowe's Distribution. They arrived with approximately 25 volunteers and a lot of plants and vegetation mulch and so forth, and put in a lot of hard work at Kirkwood Adams Civic Center on the outside back on Friday, October the 27th. And so we're very pleased with the effort that has gone into that, especially with our city staff as well, who have put hundreds of hours into trying to make it look new again, essentially, with between power washing and painting and so forth, trying to move forward with that. And then for the remainder of my time here, I'm going to I'm going to call on our police chief to give you an update on a program that is being initiated by the police department with some fundraising efforts as well. And we want to make council aware of the fundraising efforts for this special program. There's many, many people whose lives could be impacted by this. And so I will turn it over to Chief Guyant.
And good evening. I know I'm the only one standing in front of you and some beans, so I will be quickly, I promise. I wanted to introduce you to something that I've kind of emailed everybody on the council about. It's called Project Lifesaver. It's not something that we're trying to get the city to pay for. We're actually considering this like a community event that the police department is working with the community to try to raise funds to pay for this particular item. And I'd like to talk to you about it a little bit, what it is. Project Lifesaver is an international organization, and the international organization recognizes that we have a large majority of our population that has autism, dementia, Alzheimer's, Down syndrome, and also recently accepted into that is PTSD and other related physician-diagnosed cognitive conditions. Just this year alone, in February, around the 400 block of Madison Street, we had an autistic juvenile to get missing. In July, on the 300 block of Webb Hill Street, Roanoke Rapids, we had an individual with dementia, an adult male with dementia, to get missing for at least a good 24 hours before we were able to actually find him. And then this past weekend, we had an individual from the 300 block of Madison Street, the cognitive issues, an adult male that got missing. We would end up finding him about 8 hours later. You also probably remember reading in the news this year about 2 individuals getting missing in the county, one of which was missing for a few days, was actually found, was in really poor health, but he was found, thank goodness. And then the other one was a 9-year-old autistic child that was missing and walked away from their home. And luckily, the child really loved the rescue squad, the ambulance. They loved the way that the ambulance looked with the lights, so they rode the ambulance up and down the highway, and the child came out of the woods because they saw the ambulance. So, it was a very creative way to find this child. When I was with the Sheriff's Department, we had an individual get missing in Enfield, and he went missing 2 days before Christmas, and his body's never been found. So he had dementia. And these individuals that get missing, when we have a delay in trying to locate them, trying to find them, their chances of survival go down dramatically. So what we decided to do is I had really, when I first came here, I had really interested about trying to do something with Project Lifesaver, and just by happenstance, Sergeant Joey Spraggins came to me with this particular idea. So we together have been working on this and talking about this. Joey is actually the head of the Police Club, which is a nonprofit organization. So what we've decided to do is that we would try to seek private money from the community to try to raise money to pay for this Project Lifesaver that could help those in the Roanoke Valley, not just in Roanoke Rapids, but in the county and Northampton County. And on the screen here, you look, there is a little bracelet that you wear. It's called a transmitter. The one on the left is something that is worn in the style on the wrist. You notice it looks like a little watch. It's put on there with some little rivets that can't come off, and it can also get wet, so it can be placed on the individual. There's also the option of wearing it on the ankle. The one on the right there, you can see that's the ankle. The one on the bottom is a photograph of what the receiver is. The receiver is just it's a really fancy. It hones in on the transmitter signal that is placed on the patient. If the patient gets missing, we can get into the area and we can start searching for this patient. Here's how this particularly works is the sooner we find out about this, the sooner we can get to the location that they were last seen. On the ground, this receiver works within a mile's radius. From the air in a helicopter, it works from a 3 to 5 mile radius. So it's got really a lot of strength to it. But the sooner that we can get to the patient, the better that it will be. So what we're trying to seek funds for is to try to seek our own Project Lifesaver kit in this area. If you look at this map, I got on Project Lifesaver's website today, and I did a search of all the other Project Lifesaver tools that are out there. And as you can see, the red dots indicate those that have that. The closest one to us is Emporia, but if you see in the middle, there's a green dot. There's a really big area in that particular part of that map that you can see is uncovered. We don't have the coverage in this particular area. So the purpose is to help communities in the Roanoke Valley, not just Halifax, but in Northampton County as well, to have a resource for locating people that have a tendency to wander due to having cognitive impairments such as Alzheimer's disease, dementia, PTSD, autism, and other mental health diagnosed concerns. There's 2 goals of this program. One is to streamline the search and rescue procedures, and 2 is to save lives. We strongly feel that this particular device that has been around for 20 years and has countless examples of saving lives. We feel that it's time to bring that to this area. So the cost on this, the initial kit is $4,500. It's a one-time fee. It comes with 2 of those receiver devices. That's the handheld devices that I was talking about. And it also comes with 2 transmitters. That's the wrist or the ankle devices that I'm talking about. It comes with also a 2-day basic operator training up to 7 officers. We can train 7 officers how to use this device. But lastly, you'll see in the section says E, should be D. It says an instructor course where we can also have instructors within our agency to train other people to use this. So primarily if you have one officer on each squad, both for the sheriff's office, both for the PD, both for Northampton County Sheriff's Office. If you have people trained in how to use this device, and if someone goes missing, we can hurry up and get this device to that trained officer, and we can begin our search. And this will tremendously lessen the chances of someone not surviving from their wandering event. So also the cost associated is $1,800, where we have to have someone from Project Lifesaver to come train these 7 officers, and also to train these instructors to instruct people in the future. So this is a cyclical thing. And each individual band that you have to get is $345. So if we raise $6,300, we're able to have the $4,500 startup, the equipment that we need. We have the funds to pay for the training. Then we have to start raising money to get the transmitters for the individuals. Now, here's the thing. We had an event just this past weekend. East 10th Street had their Harvest Day Festival, and they had the pie in the face competition thing, and they raised money. Councilman Smith was there. The mayor was supposed to be there, but he got smarter than we did, I think. So we took the pie in the face. They raised almost $400 in just an hour for Project Lifesaver. So that was incredible. I've reached out to the Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually reaching out to another organization tomorrow night. And the police department is really strongly wanting the community to get involved in raising funds for this particular project, because this is a community thing. It's not a city thing. This needs to involve people in Halifax and Northampton County, as well as the city of Roanoke Rapids. We just want to be the person to spearhead this and to get this going. And we hope that we can have these funds to buy this equipment, to have this on there. And then when we have individuals that have some kind of cognitive impairment and they have the worries about wandering off, we can put this band on them. Because here's the thing, people with autism, people with Down syndrome, PTSD, Alzheimer's or dementia, you don't want to limit their independence. You want them to feel like they can move around and go places. If they have this band on them, they still have that feeling of independence where they can go places and do things, but then you don't have to worry so much about them getting taken away. I couldn't imagine having a child with autism, and my child, children with autism have the tendency to want to wander. They want to wander off. You let them go out and play and they wander off. And I don't know what it is about water, but it's historically, and we can tell from many different cases in the past, children and people with autism and dementia, they go toward water. I don't know why that happens like it does, but it does. But if I was a parent of a child that had autism, if I knew that they had this band on them, that if in case they did get missing, I knew I could call somebody that could really help me find my child. I couldn't imagine my child getting missing and I not being able to find my child. I can't imagine the angst that these parents have to go through when children get missing, or when adults get missing that are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's or some other cognitive impairment. Originally we had only looked at those cognitive impairments, but in our work with the military here recently, we discovered there's several different individuals here that suffer from PTSD, and they also have that wandering mentality as well. They wander, they go out, they try to find their way back to their barracks when they were in the military. And these are people that we can identify as having these cognitive issues. Placing this band on them, of course, we have to get the approval to do that, and we have to go through a rigorous process of that. But what our hopes are is to have a cadre of things that are there to help the public in these particular situations. And if we have a collection of these $345 bands that we can put on people that have this wandering effect there, we can actually go out and try to find them. I want to show you a real 2-minute video, and then I promise I'll be done there.
Those tests are raising awareness of a program that can help first responders track missing persons more quickly. Rich Knight shows us how the system works and gives families a safe peace of mind.
Children with autism sometimes have a tendency to wander off. If they do, this device and that chirp you hear might save their life.
They don't understand safety. They don't understand depths of water, things like that. So there's a lot more risks in being able to teach a person with autism a lot of the safety awareness that they would need to remain safe.
The Wayne and Decatur Township and Morgan County Fire Departments ran a rescue simulation at Daymar Services using Project Lifesaver.
The first thing we do is to do a 360 because the victim could be in a home or whatever the last scene location was.
The receiver listens for a radio signal sent by a bracelet transmitter worn by people who tend to wander off.
It's over here. To our right.
You know that time is critical, so you were hustling.
Absolutely, yes, because kids, especially kids with autism, are attracted to water. So whenever, we go on a search, we take everyone seriously. Here she is, I found her. I found her. I found the victim. Are you okay?
The drill victim, Marlena, was found about 300 yards away in just over 5 minutes. Searches this summer in Brownsburg and Perry Township took many hours before the boys with autism were found in retention ponds 100 yards from the homes.
I know it would have made a difference, because they would have been found, a lot sooner instead of overnight or, hours later, so it would have made a difference. So, if you have a child that wanders, has a history, they need to be on Project Lifesaver.
Kim Cisa's son Derek was the first person in Indiana to wear the tracking device when he was 2 years old. He's 21 now, he still wears it for safety. With Project Lifesaver, it only took firefighters just a few minutes to find Marlena because she was wearing this bracelet. Contact your local public safety agency for more information. I'm Rich Knight, Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
So as I mentioned from the very onset, we don't have anything in our particular area. I'm going back to this map, and I'll conclude with this. You can see in that little green circle right there, there's a huge void. Well, you can't see it, but there is a huge void, and it is there we go. There is a huge void in that center there. That is Halifax. That is Northampton County. This is an international organization. There are thousands upon thousands of these out there. So, reason I wanted to come forward is if you hear anybody talking about raising money for Project Lifesaver, make sure that you understand that it's the police department that is actually pushing this through the police club, okay? It is a legitimate thing that we're asking for money for. And this is a community thing. This is not a city thing. This is the community coming together to try to raise funds to have this equipment so that we can save lives. And that's what the ultimate goal is, to save lives. So I just wanted to introduce that to you so you knew what it was. So if you hear about it, that is exactly what it is. Okay? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Chief. Is there anything else that needs to come before the council this afternoon, this evening?
I have one thing, if I may, Mayor. I would like to recognize Mr. Warren Keith Bell, who will be my replacement on City Council for District 3. I believe he will be a great councilman and will come in running and fill the void. This, of course, tonight is my last full meeting with council, and just wanted to recognize Keith. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farabee. I also would like to congratulate everyone that was successful in their bid to be elected or re-elected, and we look forward to you, Mr. Bell, coming on with us in December. You have some extremely large shoes to fill, so you will have some big shoes to fill. Mr. Farabee's been here a long time, and he's been a real asset to the community. He's a good thinker. He's a good listener. He's a good doer. And so we'll be looking for some of those same attributes from you. And I'm sure you'll be able to fill his shoes, but we miss him very much. And so, did you hear all that, Carl? All those good things I said about you? Okay. He told me what to say before I came in. Anything else? If call for a motion to adjourn. Second to the motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We stand adjourned. Thank you.